Hey everybody, Charlie Stevens here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another guitar lesson. Alright, today I'd like to teach you how to write songs. More specifically, I'd like to teach you a game that is one way we can write songs. So songwriting is kind of a giant topic and it's a creative endeavor, so we could talk about that all day really, and there's really no end to how creative we can be. But there are certain parameters that we can use to kind of formulaically write chord progressions using things that we've learned on this channel so far. So today we're going to learn a game, and the game is going to involve taking chords that are in a key. Today we're going to use the key of C because on this channel we've learned all of the chords necessary for the key of C so far. So now that we've learned all the chords in the key of C, we can put them together and see what that's like to kind of hear them together. So this game is going to use only the first 6 chords in the key of C. So reviewing that, we have C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C again. Okay, so don't worry about the B diminished one. We learned that really briefly when we looked at how to harmonize the C major scale. Basically, that one won't fit into a simplistic game like this. We'll need to know what we're doing a little bit more before we incorporate that one. So if the rest of them you're comfortable with, but that one you're like, hey, I don't really know that chord, good, because we're not going to use it today anyway. Okay, so this game is something that I've been doing for years since I realized you could just take chords from the key and put them together. There is another video on YouTube by Jake from Signals Music who did a really good job of this that I saw years ago, and I'm sure that's influenced the way I've taught it since then. So I'll try to find the link to that and leave it for you so you can check that out too. But basically we're going to boil this down to 3 rules. Okay, rule number 1, we have to start on the 1 chord. Okay, that's the tonic chord, the chord in which the whole key is named after, right? So we're in the key of C. The tonic chord, or the 1 chord, is C, okay? So we have to start on that. That's our first rule, okay? Second rule, we can use any other chord in the key except for the diminished 7 chord. In this case, that B diminished. Again, that one kind of plays by its own rules, so we would need to know what we're doing a little bit more, and it would kind of take away from the simplicity of this game. So we're just going to leave that out for now. But any of the other 6 chords you're free to use in the 2nd measure or the 3rd measure. Okay, the 3rd rule is that we must end on the 4 chord or the 5 chord. Okay, those are our 2 major chords other than 1, right? We get major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major, right? So we're starting on 1, we're ending on either 4 or 5. We're starting on our major chord, we're ending on one of our other major chords. And that's going to ensure that this becomes a 4-chord loop, okay? There's another channel where the guy talks about, I think it's called 12 tone. The guy talks about 4-chord loops a lot in his lessons on that channel. So this is a way of generating these 4-chord loops. And they're going to sound really cool. So that's it. That's our only 3 rules. We start with 1. We may put any other chord next. And then we have to end on either 4 or 5. Okay? Making sense so far? Okay, so we have to start with 1, that's C. Now you get to pick a number 1 through 6. Let's say you said 6. Okay, what is 6 in C? C, D, E, F, G, A. That's an A. Is that major or minor? Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. 6 is always minor. So that means A minor is our 6th chord. Making sense so far? Okay, now let's choose another one and randomly pick another number 1 through 6. Let's say this time you said 3. Okay, C, D, E. That's some sort of E chord. Is it major or minor? Major, minor, minor. 3 chords always minor, so that's E minor. Okay, the last measure, we need to go to either 4 or 5. I'm going to say let's do 4. So we're already at E minor. That's 3. 4 will be F major. I think that'll be nice to have that little half step here. So I don't know how this is going to sound. Let's try it together. Ready? Where is my mind? And maybe it's not that exact thing. Usually when I play this game, I recognize the chord progression I write. Usually I go, oh, hey, that sounds like a song I know already. Okay, so this can be a really fun exercise, and it can be really empowering to realize that creating songs isn't up to, it doesn't put pressure on you to come from some divine source. If that happens, that's awesome. That can definitely happen too. But really, we're all using the same harmonic vocabulary. We have chords that go together in a key. We're free to pick some out and see if we like the way they sound. And when you do this, you'll see that other people have done this before, and it will remind you of songs, okay? I'm playing my F as a bar chord F, by the way. I think I've only taught you this one on the channel so far, so maybe I should do that one. I personally like this bar chord F better, so if you know that one, you could play it. We'll come back and talk about this. Or you could do the power chord F that I showed you. That's almost like the bar chord F anyhow. Okay, good. That's one. Let's make up another one. Okay, so we have to start on 1. This time, let's say we're going to go to 4. Okay, 4 is F. So we got C, F. Then let's say I'm going to go to 2. That's D minor. Okay, then let's say I'm going to go to, now I have to choose either 4 or 5. I already used 4, so let's do 5. So that would be C, F, D minor, G. That one's not really particularly reminding me of any song I already know. Please leave a comment if you go, oh hey, that's this song. But do you see how this works? See how we'll come up with stuff? Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. If you don't like it, no biggie, pick a different chord. Try again, right? So I'm going to have you write out maybe 10 of these. I think that would be a good exercise for you. Do 10 different ones. Then you can, if you like what you come up with, you can put them together in a song. You can do maybe one of these progressions could be your verse, a different one could be your chorus perhaps. You could have a different 4-chord loop for your verse, like in the song Don't Think Twice, It's Alright by Bob Dylan. He has about 4 different chord progressions in each verse. It's kind of a little mini chord progressions. It could have easily been playing this game and then, had done that 4 different times and kind of put it all together to create one verse. I think he may have a non-diatonic chord or 2 in that progression, so let's not take that too literally, but basically, this is fodder to be putting a lot of stuff together. So now that we have some chord progressions, we can check out our rhythms. So I have a lesson on this channel, strumming variations and strumming patterns. We're learning about how to strum eighth notes, so you can go back in the basic guitar lesson playlist and look for that, and that will teach you how we wrote our own rhythms, right? So now we can combine these 2 ideas. We have our chord progression, let's write a rhythm to it. And now reviewing that one, basically we had 4 beats and I chose places to put eighth notes. Let's say I'm going to do eighth notes on beat 3, okay? All quarter notes, eighth notes on beat 3. I'm totally just making this up, by the way. I don't know if this is going to sound good or bad. Now we're going to put this to my chord progression, which was C, F, D minor, G. And it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4 for each chord. So it might sound super clunky and weird. I'm just picking numbers randomly so I can listen and see. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I'm going to try that same progression, totally different strum pattern. Now I'm going to go like 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Okay? Okay, sounds different. Let's do one more. Let's do, how about we go 1, 5, 6, 4. That one happens to be a very famous progression called the Axis of Awesome progression. There, I'll leave a link to the Axis of Awesome comedy troupe who points out that all of many great songs throughout the last 40 years or so have been shared a common chord progression. 1, 5, 6, 4. 1, 5, 6, 4. In the case of C, that's C, G, A minor, F. Okay? Lots of songs use that. Don't Stop Believing. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. Right? That's one example that they use. But check out the video, you'll see lots of other ones. So many songs that we could do in here. So many different rhythms we can do, right? So hopefully you have a lot of fun with this and you can be really creative and realize that writing songs can be easy. It can also be really hard. Just because we know how to do this doesn't mean we're going to get a great song, but it means we know how to start, right? And if you have an idea for something you want to say and you need a vehicle to put some chords to your melody that you're writing, this is a great way to start coming up with stuff. You can hear it. If you don't like it, try again. Maybe you'll like that one. Maybe you'll have to try a third or fourth time, right? You can be as creative as you want with this. So kind of an open-ended lesson today, but I just wanted to lay out that songwriting game. I find this really fun and helpful. It also helps get us used to what chords belong together in different keys. So then I could go to the key of G, for instance, and play all the, let's say I had 2 favorite chord progressions of my 10 that I generated, and there was 2 I really liked. Maybe I could go see how they sounded in the key of G. Maybe I'd like them even better because now the chords are actually different. The voicings are different. Maybe one time when I went from 1 to 5, I had to go down from C to G. G is lower. But if I was in the key of G, that same thing sounds a little different because G now has to go up to D. And I say have to because I'm kind of thinking we're locked into our limited chord knowledge of basic cowboy shapes. Obviously, there's different ways to voice every chord, and I could figure out a way that, you know, G still goes down to D. Maybe I'd have to start my G here so I could go down to D. Okay? But in general, if I'm doing regular G to regular D, it's going to be a low going to a high. If I do regular C to regular G, 1, 5 in that regard, that's going to give me a descending thing, right? So my point is, it will sound different when you put this into different keys. So we can try that too. But that might be a little advanced for where we're at in this course. I haven't taught you too many chords yet. I've taught you most of the open chords, I think, and soon we'll learn about bar chords, and then we'll really be able to play any chord we'd like. So please keep an eye on the channel and we'll get to that soon. But for now, just work with whatever your current knowledge is at. Pick some chords. You can even do them randomly and then figure out what they are. That's great practice to go, hey, I came up with 1, 5, 3, 4, which would probably sound weird. Let's try that one real quick. Yeah, I actually like that one. But anyhow, my point is we can come up with lots of different stuff for fun, okay? So, start on the 1 chord. That's rule number 1. That's usually in the first measure. I usually make this a 4-measure loop, although you can tweak that if you want. But yeah, first measure, 1 chord. The second and third measure, anything you want. The final measure, either the 4 chord or the 5 chord. And that's going to ensure that we nicely get back to the first chord and it makes it a loop. We can totally break any and all of these rules. And if you're a real songwriter, you probably should at some point, right? But that's not really the point. This is a game, an exercise, okay? So feel free to write as many of these as you want. I'd say shoot for about 10 different progressions and then go back to the rhythm video and come up with a couple of strum progressions that match it. And if you come up with some stuff that you really like, a good progression and a good rhythm to go with it, that might inspire you to have a melody. You might just sit there and strum that over and over again, and maybe you'll hum along. Maybe those notes will just kind of make sense and just kind of drift into your mind. That is your melody. Now you have that. Now you can say, okay, well, what does this song sound like? Is it pretty? Is it sad? That will already give you some information about what the song could be like when you start working on your lyrics, right? So again, songwriting can be a pretty deep topic, but it also doesn't have to be. It can be pretty simple. So we're going to leave it simple today, okay? I want you to have fun with this. But please leave a comment if you have any questions about this, and I'd love to help you further. All right, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you're liking these videos, and I'll see you in another guitar lesson really soon. Thanks again. Bye.